Hey guys, Jen here from A Diary of a Dreamer, and today I am going to make the first in my 2017 Halloween card series. Now, this card, I'm not going to lie, is going to be completely inspired by Kelly of Lawn Fawn, using the Trick or Treat stamp set with the coordinating dies. I recently watched a video of her introducing this particular stamp set, and she made a cute treat bag. So today I am going to walk you through how I make a card with some similar aspects to it. Let's get started.
Alright, so it's actually going to take me a second to actually get started in this video. I'm trying to get a couple of things together behind me. So I do want to start off by apologizing for any shaking that is going to happen with this video. As you can see, I got two tripod legs sitting on top of my table because at the time of the filming of this, I do not currently have the proper arm extension that I need to do an overhead view. So that means to get close, my legs have to be on the table, which means the video is going to shake. So I got my card base that I first showed you in a small pack of cards from Michaels. It is their small set, so I'm not exactly sure of the size off the top of my head. I can put the dimensions in the description box below. And then I start cutting the matte part that I'm going to use to actually do all my stamping on. So as you can see, I was using this pink X-Acto mat to measure real quick, and then I pull out a different Fiskars paper trimmer that has a longer measuring arm to get a better idea of what I'm doing. And this is when I realized I was actually measuring from the 1-inch mark, not the 0-inch mark, which is just silly. Who does stuff like that besides me? So yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and cut some stuff down and get it ready for stamping. I want to thank you guys for coming to watch my first card making video ever. It's definitely been a learning experience. I got started in card making, just to ramble for a minute, after watching some awesome videos from Alicia over at Crazy Paper Chick, and I will link her channel below. She's actually the inspiration for me getting started making cards and why I kind of wanted to make a Halloween card series this year. So Alicia, if you're watching this, thank you very much for the inspiration. And so we're going to continue on with me cutting stuff down. Now I'm going to reach for a paper pad called Happy Haunting from My Paper Studio. I think I picked it up last year, so 2016, either at Michael's or at Joann's. I don't know which. I obviously did not use all the paper, so I'm going to pull an orange, kind of plain orange sheet from the paper pad, and I'm going to use that as the background to my stamping. Now, if you've seen the video that I mentioned from Kelly at Lawn Fawn, where she made the gift bag toppers using this stamp set, you're going to see a lot of similarities. As I mentioned in the beginning of this video, the ideas are not mine. I'm just doing a card based on her little gift tag toppers because I thought it would make a really cool card. And I just liked how simple it ended up being. And I figured for the first card making video I'm going to do for you guys, why not do it a little bit simple? So here I am still measuring to make sure that I like the size of the stamping part of my card, and it's still a little too big for me, but I will eventually get the right size and start cutting it down. So now it is about the right size that I want it, and I'm going to reach for my stamp block and my Memento Tuxedo black ink, which are both in drawers behind me, so I can get started stamping. I have a new setup in my office, which means my stuff is organized a little bit differently, and the desk that I'm filming on is a smaller desk, so it doesn't have a whole lot of room to hold everything that I need at one time. I will be filming a office tour here in the future. It may be posted by the time that this video goes live. I do not know for sure, so that way you guys can kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. So here I'm going to kind of cattywampously, is that even a word? Cattywampously? I'm going to line up my candy corn side by side at weird angles and get started stamping. I just removed that X-Acto mat because I don't need it for this part. of the video, I'm not going to be doing any cutting on it. So I'm using a Tim Holtz Ranger craft mat that I picked up at Michael's. That way if I get anything on the mat, I can just very quickly wipe it up and not have a problem, not get it on my desk, none of that. So as you can probably guess, I did try to speed up this stamping part because it does take me a little while, and honestly I don't feel that anybody wants to sit here and watch me stamp that in real time. Like I said, it takes a while. So I am kind of relearning how to use my video editing software, so I'm really impressed that I figured out how to speed a video up, because it took me a little while. I won't even tell you how long it took me to remember how to record a voiceover. I was making it way more complicated than it actually was. So as you can see, this panel is not going to be perfect. The candy corn are not spaced perfectly apart. Some of them are going to be really, really close to each other, and if you actually notice, at one point I do flip, yep, right there, I do flip this card over because I misstamped some candy corn and stamped them on top of each other. So I'm just gonna get started real quick and redo it and hopefully get it right this time. I like to reposition the candy corn so that way they're going different directions, and I'm so sorry that I am almost completely off frame here. There we go. I tried to be conscious of where I was filming at, so that way I could try to stay in frame, but it's a little bit difficult with the setup that I have going on. Hopefully soon, like I said, I'll have that new tripod arm and it won't be a problem. So here I'm just stamping some of the candy corn a little off the panel just for some fun, because I want it to look kind of like an imperfect pattern paper sheet that I see people like Kelly at Lawn Fawn and Alicia at Crazy Paper Chick and Jess of Jess Crafts. I see them do this stuff all the time and I like the way it looks, so I figured I would give it a try. So I'm trying to get them in as close as possible in a varied pattern. I ended up taking one of the pieces of candy corn off and putting it on the reverse side of my stamp block. So that way I'm only stamping it one at a time, so that way I don't accidentally do any overlapping, and occasionally I'll put them back side by side and try to get it done that way. It's really not that big of a panel. I can't give you the exact measurements of the panel. I just kind of estimated and cut it down until I thought it looked right. But I gotta say, I do like how this card panel turned out with the different candy corn. Now I'm just gonna take the little candy corn piece and I'm going to try to put it in some of the spaces that are hanging around. I love the fact that Lawn Fawn puts little faces on some of their designs, like some of their inanimate objects like candy corn. I just love the faces. They just make me smile, so I figure, why not? Alright, so I'm finally done stamping this panel, and I'm going to clean up both my craft mat and my stamps real quick. And then I am going to pull out my Copic markers. And I'm going to do some basic coloring on my candy corn. I'm not going to do anything super crazy. I'm still kind of new to using my Copic marker. Oh wait, no, I did not start with Copic markers. I'm just kidding. So here I pulled out a Faber-Castell Pit Artist pen. I forget the exact size, and I'm just outlining some of the candy corn because I did not get a perfect impression with my stamping, and I wanted to make sure that they looked at least somewhat even. So some of them are going to be a little bit darker than others, but it was better than what it was, and I just remembered I need to put my lid back on my my stamp pad so that way I don't dry it out. And I only have to cover up a couple of the candy corn and then I'm good to go. So now I'm going to pull out my Copic markers so that way I can color the candy corn. I just pulled two of the lightest colors that I have, and I will put them in the description block also if you would like to see them. But I am using Y17 for the yellow and YR04 for the orange. And I'm going to try to speed through this real quick, just so that way you guys aren't just sitting here watching me color a whole bunch of candy corn. Because while it's simple coloring, it does take me a bit of a minute to get it done. So like I started to say, I'm still a little new to Copic coloring in general, but I've been watching a whole lot of videos, and I'm starting to get pretty decent at it, I hope. So hopefully you'll see me, as I build my Copic collection, do some more Copic coloring for cards. And now I am pretty much done with this panel. It honestly really didn't take me that long to make the card. This video currently is only about 23 minutes long, which is fantastic for my first card. So now I'm just going to start... Now I am going to get my little sentiment panel ready to go. I'm pulling out the supplies for that. This is my little mini Misty that I got off of, I believe I got it from Simon Says Stamp. It is super helpful, and for some reason my silly self thinks that this small piece, like the scrap piece of cardstock, is going to be big enough, and then I'm like, wait a minute, that's not what I want to do at all. So then I have to go dig out a bigger piece, and it's going to take me a second, which seems to be the theme of this video. But there we go, I finally found one, and I'm going to put it in the center, because as you're going to see, I'm going to pull out my Sizzix circle dies to make sure that I have the right circle that's going to fit around this sentiment. There we go, my Sizzix circle dies. I bought those from probably Michael's. That seems to be my go-to at the moment, because I'm impatient and I don't like waiting for shipping. So I just get stuff from Michael's, or from my local craft stores if possible. So here I'm just verifying that that circle is indeed going to be the right size, and then I'm going to use my mini Misty to stamp this trick or treat sentiment. And then, so I didn't have my magnets in the right place, and when I went to pull up the sentiment, it stuck to the card. So I went and I found this little regular plastic eraser that I have, because I saw it on, I don't know if it was Allie Edwards or if it was Amy Gretchen on one of their Project Life videos, but they suggested that when you have a new stamp, you take an eraser real quick and you just kind of rough up the edges, so that way it'll, one, stick to the ink better and all of that. So I tried to make a habit of doing that, and I kind of forgot for a second. But now, so I'm using my mini Misty because just in case I don't get a good first impression, I want to be able to stamp it in this same place. But as it turns out, for once, I actually got a really good impression the first go round, which never happens for me. So I'm going to clean off my stamp real quick, because I'm trying to do better about that, so that way they're not all stained and gross. And then I'm going to put some stuff away, and then I'm reaching for my Big Shot that sits on my other desk. Or I will be reaching for my Big Shot that sits on my other desk here in a minute. So that way I can die cut out that little sentiment panel that says Trick or Treat. And again, I'm going to apologize, because while I am actually using my cuddle bug, or why did I just call it a cuddle bug? I do not have a cuddle bug. I have a Big Shot. As I'm using my Big Shot, it really does shake the whole table. And I guess I actually could have done it off screen, but I decided to do it on screen with you guys. So there I was just taking a piece of painter's tape, and to make sure that it was less sticky so I don't damage my sentiment panel, I was sticking it to my hand a couple times, and I'm going to do it again with a second sheet, or correction, a second piece of tape, and then I'm going to stick it down. Again, it was a trick that I've learned from watching a couple of awesome ladies make their own cards, and this is my new Big Shot. I won't lie, so the first time that I used this Big Shot, I cracked the plate. Just the first time I was using it, I was making another card just for practice, and I actually ended up cracking the plate, and it really scared me. I thought that either I had bad plates or I'd done something wrong, and it turns out that's actually quite normal, thanks to some ladies on a Facebook page. So now I don't get as freaked out when I hear the plates kind of making this creaking or cracking noise, which is good. Somebody should tell you that when you first get this machine and you start to use it. Somebody should warn you that, hey, you're gonna hear some creaking, and it is okay. And don't worry about the damage in your plate that's gonna happen, even after the first use. So here I am going to pop out my my little white sentiment panel real quick. Maybe not as quickly as I thought it was. Oh, the tape took a little while to get off. That's what it was. Because even though I tried to make it less sticky, it was still super sticky painter's tape. So it took me a second to get it off, and I didn't realize that I was completely out of frame. But I'm just resticking that painter's tape to the top of my the handle on my Big Shot. And then there I pulled off the next biggest circle from my circle die set, and I'm looking real quick for a black piece of cardstock because I'm going to make a slightly big black circle to go around my sentiment panel to kind of pop it up off of the stamped panel that I created. And here I'm just checking that I like the amount of black cardstock that is going to be showing. This is just black 65-pound Recollections cardstock. And right there, unfortunately, my camera died. Luckily, I caught it quick enough that the only thing I had done was actually cut out that black circle. And now I'm finally going to start assembling my card. It only feels like it took me forever. At least doing the voiceover, it feels like it took me forever. Just laying everything out to make sure that it is where I want it to be. So this is where you're really going to see the differences between the gift bag topper that Kelly created in the Lawn Fawn video and what I decided to do. She added the bat on the outside, or no, she added 2 more candy corn on the outside, and I am not going to do that. I'm just going to leave this as it is. So that is a Tombow Mono adhesive roller. It is my go-to adhesive roller. It says it's permanent, but if you lift up before it like really adheres, then you're going to be able to readjust your stuff as you need, which is definitely what I need. As you'll see as I'm trying to put the orange panel on the card. That took me a while to get it lined up. So now I'm just going to piece together real quick all of the pieces of my card. So I wanted to make sure that I have a piece, it's kind of near my pinky just then. There's a piece of candy corn that is sitting straight up and it's got the smiley face on it. And so I wanted to try to keep it where you could see that one because all the other ones are all turned funny directions. And so that's why I decided to offset my Trick or Treat panel just for fun and because I think it looks kind of cool. It's unique. So now that everything is adhered to that orange piece of pattern paper, and this is where the fun begins. So I had to trim off a little bit of the candy corn panel because it stuck over just a tiny bit. Not a whole lot that it made a difference, but you could tell where I used one of my paper trimmers because it was not a clean cut. So now I'm going to try to figure out exactly where I want this panel to go. So I don't have an even amount of space between the top and the bottom and the sides. Oh, and then my adhesive runner runs out, so luckily I have a whole bunch of extra adhesive, so that way it's just a real quick fix. So if you've made it this far in my card, I want to extend a sincere thank you to you for sticking around, because I know there's been a lot of rambling and whatnot. So I really appreciate you sticking around, and I hope that you come back and see more of my cards as this month progresses. So now my tape runner's all fixed, and now I'm gonna finish taping off this panel. I was like, oh, I forgot a side. That would be bad, because you don't really want it pulling up. Make sure I adhere it the right way, because it'd be my luck to adhere the panel upside down, and then I would be like, wait a minute, why does this look funny? So there was a little bit of space on the right that was not matching up with the space on the left. So I'm going to readjust this panel probably 3 or 4 times before I'm finally happy with the way that this card turns out. But I gotta say, for the first card that I'm doing on camera, I'm actually pretty proud of this card because I was kind of flying by the seat of my pants. I was inspired by that Lawn Fawn video, but it was still kind of flying by the seat of my pants. And now I'm looking for a sentiment to put on the inside, and I actually had the perfect sentiment. So Serena B, who is in charge, who has her own shop, it's called Paper Cakes. She designs her own like Project Life cards and papers and stuff like that. Last year she created 2 different stamp sets, and one of the stamps, I have them both, and one of the stamps says, "It's okay if you're excited for Halloween. Halloween is awesome." And so that's what I'm going to stamp real quick on the inside of my card. Press down nice and hard to make sure I get a good impression. I'm going to clean off my stamp real quick, put it back, and then I'm going to stamp a little bat from the Trick or Treat, the Lawn Fawn Trick or Treat stamp. So, like I said, this sentiment is from Serena B of Paper Cakes, and I will link her shop down below. I can't remember if this stamp set is still available or not, but I know she has at least one stamp set available still in her shop. Or at least it was the last time I checked. But if not, you should definitely check her out. She's really big into Halloween. She's the reason I do October daily, and I cannot wait to do that project again. But I like supporting like small businesses, and I love what she was creating, and so I decided to purchase her stamp set. Alright, there we go. That was the last piece that I'm going to add to this particular card. And now I'm just going to put everything back where it belongs, because I'm trying to do better about keeping things clean. So like I said, if you're still here 21 minutes into this video and you have listened to me ramble, I greatly appreciate you. I promise that I will do better about the next video about not rambling so much. And here's a look at my card, the outside, here's the inside. Alright, and so I will see you guys next time. Check out the links in the description box below. And like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you later. Bye.